They called you manipulative. The word landed like a slap. You stood there, stunned, trying to map the accusation onto anything you had actually done. Manipulative. You. The person who apologizes for having needs. The person who explains themselves until exhaustion. The person who bends until breaking just to keep the peace. Manipulative. You replayed the conversation, the interaction, the entire relationship, searching for the moment you had schemed, calculated, pulled invisible strings, and you found nothing. Because there was nothing. The accusation did not match the evidence. The words did not fit the person you know yourself to be. But here is what kept you awake at 2 a.m., chest tight, mind spinning. They believed it. They believed what they were saying. This was not a strategic lie. This was not a calculated attack. They looked at you and genuinely saw a manipulator. As if they were looking at a completely different person, a stranger wearing your face. And so you did what you always do. You questioned yourself. Maybe I am manipulative and I just cannot see it. Maybe they see something I am blind to. Maybe I am the villain of a story I thought I was the victim in. Stop. What if I told you they were not lying, but they were not telling the truth about you either? What if that accusation, that bizarre, disconnected, reality-defying accusation, was never about you at all? Carl Jung spent his career documenting a phenomenon that explains exactly what happened to you. He called it projection, but the full implications are far more disturbing than a clinical term suggests. Jung wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Read that again. Not an understanding of the other person, an understanding of ourselves. When they called you manipulative, they were not describing you. They were confessing, telling you who they are, painting their self-portrait and hanging it on your wall. You are not a manipulator. You are a mirror. And in the next 20 minutes, we will decode exactly why your presence forces people to see what they have spent their entire lives hiding from. Why their accusations reveal their shadow, not your character. And why their hatred of you is the most honest thing they have ever said about themselves. You did not ask to reflect their truth, but you do. And it is time you understood what that really means. Here is the first thing you need to understand about mirrors. They do not judge. They do not interpret. They do not add or subtract. They simply reflect what stands before them. And this is precisely why they are so terrifying to people who have built their entire identity on illusion. You became a mirror not through intention, but through integration. Somewhere in your journey, you stopped performing. You started being. You confronted your own shadows. You sat with your own darkness. You did the work that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. And now you carry something rare. Coherence. Your inside matches your outside. Your words align with your actions. Your presence emanates a frequency that most people cannot name, but everyone can feel. Jung called this the process of individuation, the psychological journey toward wholeness, the integration of conscious and unconscious, persona and shadow, light and dark. But here is what Jung observed in those who had progressed far on this path. They became unbearable to those who had not. Not because they were arrogant, not because they were superior, but because their integrated presence created an involuntary contrast. When you stand next to someone who has done their shadow work, you become suddenly, painfully aware of all the shadow work you have not done. This is not something you choose to inflict. It happens automatically, energetically, below the level of words. You walk into a room where everyone is wearing masks. You are not wearing one. And suddenly, every mask in that room feels heavier, tighter, more suffocating. The people wearing them do not consciously understand why they suddenly feel so uncomfortable. They just know that you are the reason. You are the variable that changed. You are the problem. But the problem is not you. The problem is what you reflect. Jung documented a precise mechanism for how this works. He called it the projection of the shadow. The shadow is everything you refuse to acknowledge about yourself, the qualities you have disowned, the impulses you have buried, the parts of you that your family, your culture, your religion told you were unacceptable. They do not disappear when you reject them. They go underground, into the unconscious. And from there, they operate without your awareness. But they need somewhere to go. They need expression. So the psyche does something ingenious and destructive. It projects these qualities onto others. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. When someone with a buried shadow encounters you, something specific happens. Your integrated presence activates their disowned material. The qualities they have rejected in themselves suddenly have a target, a screen, a surface to project upon. The manipulator sees you and projects their manipulativeness, but because they cannot own it, they accuse you of playing games. The dishonest person sees you and projects their dishonesty, but because they cannot face it, they question your motives. The person who performs kindness sees your genuine compassion and projects their inauthenticity, but because the contrast is unbearable, they call you fake. This is the physics of psychological reflection. Your presence does not create their shadow, it illuminates it. You are a light source. And when light hits darkness, there are only two options. The darkness transforms, or the darkness attacks the light. Most people attack the light. When you become a mirror, people do not see you, they see themselves. And what they see determines how they respond. The threat. The person who has built their identity on being the smartest, the most spiritual, the most successful in the room sees you and feels their throne wobble. You are not competing with them. You do not even want their crown. But your presence suggests that there are other ways to be valuable, other definitions of worth, and this destabilizes everything they have constructed. They see you as a threat to their position because they see, reflected in you, the insecurity that drives their need to be superior. The judge. The person carrying unprocessed shame sees you and feels judged. Your calmness reads as criticism. Your boundaries read as rejection. Your peace reads as condemnation of their chaos. They cannot separate your presence from their self-judgment, so they attack you for being judgmental when you have judged nothing. You are simply reflecting the judge that already lives inside them. The fraud exposer, the performer, the people pleaser, the one who has crafted elaborate personas for every situation sees you and panics. Your authenticity is evidence that masks are optional. Your integration suggests that performance is a choice, not a necessity. This makes their entire life strategy look like what it is: exhausting, unnecessary, cowardly. They hate you for exposing what they already know but cannot admit. The reminder. The person who abandoned their own path, who betrayed their own values, who settled for a life they did not want, sees you and feels the ghost of who they could have been. You are a walking reminder of roads not taken, dreams not followed, truths not honored, and that reminder is unbearable. They attack you for being a reminder of their own forfeiture. The wound. Sometimes your presence touches something even deeper. A primal wound, an original betrayal. A core belief that they are not enough, that they do not belong, that they are fundamentally broken. Your wholeness activates their wound, not because you caused it, but because you prove that wounds can heal. And if wounds can heal, then their lifelong excuse for dysfunction disappears. They attack you rather than face that possibility. Here is the secret that changes everything. Every attack is a confession. Every accusation is autobiography. Every projection is a self-portrait disguised as criticism of you. When the manipulator calls you manipulative, they are telling you who they are. When the liar questions your honesty, they are revealing their relationship with truth. When the narcissist accuses you of being self-centered, they are painting their portrait, not yours. Jung understood this with devastating clarity. He wrote, "Projections change the world into the replica of one's own unknown face." The person attacking you is looking at their own unknown face. They are seeing qualities in you that belong to them, qualities they have exiled into the unconscious. And because they cannot recognize these qualities as their own, they attack them in you. This is why their criticisms often feel so bizarre, so disconnected from reality, so obviously untrue, because they are not about you at all. You are simply the screen, the canvas, the mirror. The moment you truly understand this, something shifts. Their attacks lose their sting. Not because you stop caring, but because you recognize them for what they are: confessions, revelations, psychological x-rays of the attacker's inner world. When someone attacks you without cause, they are giving you a map of their shadow. Read it, learn it, but do not absorb it. It was never yours to carry. What happens when a mirror reflects something a person truly cannot bear to see? They try to shatter the mirror. This is what Jung observed in extreme cases of projection. When the reflected shadow is too dark, too threatening, too devastating to the person's constructed identity, they do not simply attack. They attempt to destroy, to eliminate the source of reflection entirely. This explains the disproportionate responses you may have experienced. The character assassinations, the smear campaigns, the sudden, vicious betrayals from people who once claimed to love you. The intensity of their assault has nothing to do with anything you have done. It has everything to do with what you reflect. You have become a threat to their psychological survival. Not literally, but to the ego. The death of its illusions feels like death itself, and the ego will do anything to survive, including destroy the mirror that shows it what it cannot accept. This is the shatter response, and once you recognize it, you will see it everywhere. In the colleague who suddenly turns hostile after your promotion, in the friend who vanishes when your life improves, in the family member who attacks your growth as if it were a personal betrayal of them. They are not trying to hurt you. They are trying to survive the reflection of themselves that you make unavoidable. But here is the crucial truth. Mirrors cannot be shattered by projections, only by physical force. And you are not glass. You are consciousness. You are integrated. You are whole. Their attempts to shatter you will always fail if you remember what you are. So, how do you survive as a walking mirror in a world of people who cannot bear their own reflection? You do not stop being a mirror. You cannot. That would require dismantling your own integration, betraying your own wholeness, becoming someone smaller than you are. Instead, you learn the art of non-absorption. You reflect, but you do not retain. Their shadow touches your surface and bounces back. It does not enter. It does not colonize. It does not become yours. This requires one fundamental practice: knowing what belongs to you. When the attack comes, you pause. You ask, is this mine? Have I actually done this thing? Is this accusation accurate to who I know myself to be? If yes, you integrate it. You learn. You grow. Even difficult truths from hostile sources can serve your evolution. If no, you release it. You let it return to its owner. You do not defend, explain, or argue. Defense is engagement. Engagement is absorption. Absorption is contamination. Jung prescribed what he called active imagination for this purpose: the practice of dialoguing with the contents of your own psyche to clarify what belongs to you and what has been projected from outside. This is not spiritual bypassing. This is psychological hygiene. You must also accept a difficult truth. Some people will never see you. They cannot. Their projections are too thick, their shadows too unintegrated. Their need to make you the problem too essential to their survival. These people do not deserve your energy, your explanation, your hope that they will eventually understand. Let them go. Mirrors do not chase the people who flee from their reflection. They simply remain, still, clear, available to those who are ready to see themselves honestly. You are a mirror, not because you chose to be, not because you wanted this role, but because you did something that most people will never do. You looked at your own reflection. You sat with your own shadow. You integrated what others spend lifetimes running from. And now your very presence reflects what others hide. This is not a burden. It is not a curse. It is the inevitable consequence of psychological integrity in a world addicted to masks. They will attack you. They will project onto you. They will try to make you the villain of their unexamined story. And for a long time, you may have believed them. You may have questioned yourself, wondered if you were truly as terrible as they claimed. You are not. You never were. You were simply reflecting what they could not bear to see in themselves. Their insults were confessions. Their accusations were autobiographies. Their hatred was, and always has been, self-hatred in disguise. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. They cannot accept themselves, so they attack you instead. But you have done the terrifying work. You have faced your own depths, and you have emerged whole. Do not dim your light to make the darkness more comfortable. Do not crack your surface to spare their fragile illusions. Do not apologize for reflecting what they refuse to see. You are not too much. You are not too intense. You are not the problem. You are a mirror. And mirrors do not apologize for what they reflect. Comment below. I reflect. I do not absorb. Declare that you are done carrying shadows that were never yours. The mirror awakens.